Dan Rivera, a paranormal investigator and a handler of Annabelle, a doll that's believed to be possessed by evil spirits, has died. Rivera, who was 54, died around 2:30 in the morning on July 13, 2025, in one of the most haunted places in America, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, in his hotel room. Rivera's death occurred during the Devils on the Run tour, which featured the allegedly haunted doll Annabelle. The tour, which sold out, drew widespread controversy and honestly a lot of spectators of the paranormal. The doll Annabelle became famous after it was featured in the chilling horror film The Conjuring, which was inspired by true events. This Raggedy Ann doll was believed to be under possession by a young girl named Annabelle. The original owner who first bought the doll in a thrift store immediately began experiencing sinister and dangerous activity in their home. The infamous Ed Warren, a paranormal expert and spiritualist, determined that the doll was possessed by the demonic when he and his clairvoyant wife witnessed the doll levitating in the air. The doll was soon turned over to the Warrens for safekeeping and placed under lock and key in the Warrens Occult Museum. But, before taking possession of the doll, the Warrens claimed that the doll placed them in what could have been a fatal and catastrophic accident, as their brakes failed unexplainably multiple times while en route to the museum. The Warrens reportedly said that the brake failures stopped only when holy water was taken out and poured on Annabelle, who was placed in the rear of their vehicle. Annabelle apparently doesn't like to be mocked either. Once a priest who was visiting the Warrens Museum picked up Annabelle, then verbally downplayed its demonic abilities. Ed warned the priest about mocking Annabelle's satanic power, but the priest just laughed him off, claiming Warren was giving Annabelle too much credit. On his way home, the priest was involved in a near-fatal crash that totally destroyed his new car. When authorities arrived at the scene of the accident, the priest claimed to have seen Annabelle in his rearview mirror just before the accident. Years later, another visitor tapped on the glass of the Annabelle doll's case and, giggled at how naive people were to believe in Annabelle. On his way home, he reportedly lost control of his motorcycle and crashed headfirst into a tree. He was killed instantly. His girlfriend, who was also on the motorcycle, barely survived. She claimed that at the time of the accident, the couple had been laughing about the silly idea of the Annabelle doll being possessed. Over the years, the Warrens continued to recount other terrifying events of victims being scratched, and honestly just a bunch of other horrifying stories. Now, sources believe that since Annabelle was removed from the protection of the Warrens and taken out of the case, she has, claimed yet another life. Rivera was reported to have died with Annabelle in his arms. Some reports even claimed that Rivera, a man known to have strong religious beliefs, and who always stood by his convictions to, never mock what's not understood, recorded himself being in some kind of distress, while handling Annabelle as he was holding holy water in one hand and quoting scriptures from the Bible. Although police said in their reports that nothing unusual or suspicious was discovered in Rivera's hotel room at the time of his death, the case is being investigated pending autopsy results, according to the law enforcement agency. Rivera should have known that it wasn't a good idea to play with the occult. This isn't the first time that cursed objects and dolls have tried to harm others. Hollywood has proved deadly for many who have starred in horror movies. Sacrifices were paid in blood many times when the lives of actors, crew members, and family members were taken mysteriously and tragically during and after filming horror movies like The Exorcist, The Omen, Poltergeist, and many more. The Annabelle doll isn't just a doll starring in a horror movie, but a satanic conduit led by the ruler of the underworld. And unfortunately, Dan Rivera found this out the hard way. That you can't claim to be spiritual and have a relationship with God on one hand, and then go on the devil's tour showcasing its evil possessions the next. Let this be a cautionary tale. Never play with the occult, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And although Annabelle may have felt mocked, God is the ultimate force to never be mocked.